another Friday, and why wouldn't I proclaim the glory of God? Because He is really, really, really the one. I love the song by Dunsin Oyekan. You are one that can be I proclaim. You know, every time I look on my life, every morning when I wake up, I can't help but proclaim. So this is one of my very, very favorite songs because, I mean, I can't explain how God has got me in the whole of His palm. I can't explain how He does the things that He does in my life. I can't explain the miracle of His provision. I can't explain the miracle of His favor. I can't explain the miracle of His grace. I can't explain the miracle of His strength that strengthens me. I can't explain the miracle of His joy that gives me joy every single time. I can't explain the wisdom that He grants me to be able to raise my children. I can't explain the energy that I get to be able to wear all the hats that I wear. And every time I look at me, I know that it is God. And so I am grateful for the glory that He allows to work through me. Everything that I am, everything that I do, and everything that I have achieved, I give the glory to God, because without Him, I am not as in NOUGHT, nothing basically. So you should check out this guy's songs. He's got an amazing repertoire of music and you will love it. But this one is one of my very favorite songs. So now you know that I Proclaim by Dunsin Oyekan. I love that song. And so back to the business of the day. Hello. How have you been? It's episode 6. Can you imagine? Didn't I just start doing this podcast a few weeks ago? A few days. Let's say a few days, not weeks, a few days. And yeah, I want to talk about parenting through abuse. Now, I'm using through abuse because I just want to draw the line about myths and things that are said about abuse, and the fact that when abuse happens and a survivor leaves, the abuse doesn't stop. What it does is it takes the survivor out of the primary reach of the abuser. But abusers are about control. They are about proving a point. They are about so many things. So even when you're not in their reach, my song played again, never mind. But even when you're not in their reach, they try to kind of ensure that they are controlling you. So even though you leave, it doesn't go away, you know. So a jolly good Friday to you, and as always, we're going to start and we listen and talk about everything that we need to talk about. And so I just want to know, how was your week? I had a wonderful week filled with lots of joy, laughter, God's peace, and abundant blessings. Like I said, the song I Proclaim that I played, I mean, is a testimony of the goodness of the Lord in my life, and I hope it blesses you also. So let's get back to business. How are you doing? I hope you're great. For all the people that are sharing the flyers, getting people to get in touch with me to talk about the show, I mean, sometimes I'm in awe of the phone calls that I get and the passing along about the message about the podcast. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate the thoughts and the actions that you take regarding this podcast. I don't take it for granted at all. And so I want to say thank you, and let's talk. So parenting through abuse. A lot of people don't realize that while an abuser is abusing his wife or her husband, he's creating an unhealthy partner for their kids and an unhealthy environment, right? So I will, let me say this, I will try to be gender neutral as often as I can, but when it comes to numbers of when it comes to abuse, numbers have proven that women suffer a lot more abuse than men. And so when you hear him, her husband, and whatever, it's not as if it's a man-hating expedition, but switch it. If you're married, if you're a man and you're going through abuse, you can switch it and put a wife there, because the feelings and emotions are the same, right? Oh, it's raining. I love rain. It's been raining constantly for a couple of weeks. Isn't it odd that it's raining in December? And it's been raining. Oh, I'm almost in Christmas. Don't mind me. Isn't it odd that it's raining in November? And it's been very consistent. Okay. Anyway, let's go on. So if I use them, it's not a man bashing thing. It's just what it is, and the numbers that are there to support the fact that four times more women get abused, right? So, and I'm a woman, and these are drawn from my personal experiences and that of people that are in my support group and conversations that we've had. So pardon me, but yeah, let's go on. So now there are certain myths about parenting after abuse that I want to dispel first of all before we go on to any other thing. Now, understand that the anxiety and the fear of the abuser and the violence. Now, when I say violence, I don't mean broken bones or bruises or dead bodies. All that I'm saying is that it is I mean, there are violent words, there are tense atmospheres, there are silent treatments, and all of that. Violence doesn't have to be loud, visible, or overt before it can be acknowledged as violence, right? I just want to make that clear, that violence doesn't have to be loud, visible, or overt before it can be acknowledged as violence, right? So even a look, have you seen a violence there? There's violence there. Have you heard violent words? I'm not about that life, or I don't buy into the philosophy of this maxim of it's just mere words. Words don't break bones, sticks and no, they do. That's why your tongue can pierce, it can stab, it can wound, it can hurt. If words didn't have the power to be violent, your tongue wouldn't do all the things that a weapon can. Do you understand? Do you understand the correlation? So let's dispel the myth about violence only being physical, and understand that violence where tense atmospheres, silent treatment, and all of those things count as violence. So when a survivor leaves with her kids, they are still uncomfortable and scared because the situation has been tense. Children have a voice. However, how they use it depends on the kind of environment created for them, and if that environment holds space for them to find their voice, express it, as well as there's a difference between expressing yourself and being heard, listened to, acknowledged, and something being acted on because you've used your voice, right? You can find your voice, say it, and nobody's going to listen to you. You can not find your voice because the environment isn't enabling enough for you to be able to express yourself. So I always say that children are humans. They get angry, they get upset, they get anxious, they get sad, every emotions. They get despondent, they get stressed, they feel all the feels that we as adults feel. So when a child is going through it and is taking for granted that they are just children, the only reason why children are able to scale these things is because they are resilient as they are developing, and they can be helped to forget these incidents and then move on away from it and build better lives for themselves. So let's not create the impression that children don't have feelings. They do, and they have a voice. How they use it, it's totally dependent on how you, as a parent, create an enabling environment for them to use it, right? So let's make that clear. Children do have a voice. Now, another myth that I want to dispel is that it is impossible for children to love both the abuser and the survivor. It's a lie. So they say that, when you take the children away. No, they do love both parents. However, when children witness abuse and even become victims as a result, once there's abuse in the house, understand that children are part of the cycle, because they feel it, they see it, they hear it, they sense it, right? They sense it. So even as a result of transferred aggression, sometimes the abuser takes it out on the kids because perhaps they are in a cycle of the abuse where they are in the phase where they are in the honeymoon stage, because they've just, kind of abused the victim and they've apologized, just to prepare them for another round of abuse. And so they take it out on the children. It could be a scapegoat, or all of them, or any of the kids, So when this happens, they are in a dilemma because they often feel that they have to choose sides, So as I'll come to that as a parent, in that sense, they do not have to. Confusion is one of the most emotions they will deal with, because the abuser will be loving to them and fun to be with, oftentimes more than the victim, who most likely has been extremely tired, worn out, and has become cautious and is just being careful because they don't know what they're going to do that will bring on a bout of another round of abuse. So the kids may even lose respect for both parents, and then the abuser and the abused, because they see what the abuser does, they know it's wrong, they see it, and they see that the abused person or the survivor or victim is not responding to the abuse, or is not reacting, and so they leave it. Now, these are normal feelings for children. What is important is to reassure them and to ensure that their emotions are in the right space, and you let them know that it's okay to love and miss the other parent, and to want to be in their space also, because listen, that there's a separation doesn't mean that you're no longer a parent, and that's what it is. That there's a separation doesn't mean that you're no longer a parent. You're still a parent. You have kids, and you should be able to fulfill your parental responsibilities, be economical, emotional, physical, being present in their lives and guiding them, through life's ups and downs. It is important. So another myth is that women who have gone through abuse are bad parents, because more often than not, they have dealt with so much and are still dealing with a whole new set of hardships, as abusers need to control them. So abusers ignore all parenting responsibilities. Women who choose to leave are now faced with more financial responsibilities, physical and emotional trauma, being stable and independent, and most often dealing with post-stress traumatic disorder or complex post-stress traumatic disorder. They are also one half of a unit, ensuring that children have a balance. It is essential to join support groups or get a therapist to help you with new parenting methods, because you need to ensure that you have a good grip of what you need to do. Every child is different. Going down, I'll give examples of things that you can do to ensure that your children are in a good space. Now, myth number 4, about raising children as an independent parent after abuse or through abuse, that children who are raised in an independent household will always turn out horribly. Now, hold up, who's saying this nonsense? Literally, every time I hear this, I'm like, and then by support groups, I'm like, what? We always get, because there are women raising well-managed children by themselves, well-rounded children by themselves. There's so many examples of it. So I don't know who has made this a fact, because children raised in love, nurtured and encouraged as well as supported with prayer, will thrive and blossom. And there are many examples to the fact. We also need to be aware that raising kids in an abusive home will have the cycle of abuse repeat itself through the kids. Like it or not, that's what's going to happen, because they will either become an abuser or the abused, based on their personalities and characters and attitude and what they saw and how they react to the trauma. It's one of two things. And so growing up in an environment that is hostile, filled with violence, and definitely unloving, I've explained the violence up there. So when I say violence, don't take it as just mere physical violence. There's a lot more to violence than the physicality of it. So it's so growing up in an environment that is hostile, filled with violence, and definitely not loving is the problem, and not because it's a one parent. How one parent is a constant. The question I ask such people is: Are you admitting that the abuser will relinquish all their parenting responsibilities as a result of a separation? The question is: Does the abuser stop being a parent? That's the question that we should ask them. Do you stop being a parent? Are you saying that you will not be a parent unless your victim comes back for you to continue the abuse? It doesn't make any sense. And people use that as a crutch to hold down victims and survivors. If you don't have a strong spirit and you haven't researched and you haven't gone through therapy and you haven't read, they will use this as a tool to hold you down, so that inevitably you get exposed to more abuse and get more broken and find it even more difficult to break away from your abuser. So a lot of people underestimate the injustice that intimate partner violence causes and the long-term effects of it. And so a lot of the time, people who speak about parenting after abuse have no idea what they're talking about, or are just repeating an overflogged, baseless inference. Now, the most important thing for me as a primary caregiver after abuse is to get your mind in the right place. Therapy. I can never underestimate the help that therapy has given. Look, you will pray to, I saw a poster somewhere that said, sometimes you pray to God and go to God in tears, and He will tell you to see a therapist. Yes. Get a good therapist and add the prayer to it, okay? Because sometimes you need to unravel all the knots in your head and get to a place of holistic joy by yourself. That you're whole, you're worthy, you're lovable, you're adorable, and you deserve all the good things that God has for you, okay? So, therapy, prayer. Surround yourself with joy. People who understand and hold space for you to navigate the emotions is also extremely important. Don't let anybody tell you that no, that is not what it is. You need that support. So a lot of the time, people find that they get blocked by these survivors because they're not holding space for them to grow. They are constantly coming them and becoming flying monkeys of the survivor. They are saying stuff to their children that they shouldn't be saying. They are trying to insinuate things that are part of the smear campaign of the abuser and all of those things. So you do that. It's very easy to know who's for you and who's not for you, and you just cut them off. It's as simple as that, because you need that peace, you need that stability, you need that strength to be able to heal and be a good parent to your kids. And for me, if you heal after abuse, your children are your most important priority. Everyone else is not, because you've been through it with them and they understand it. Sometimes they understand even more than you think, and it can explain to them. Do you get it? So ensure that you are in a good space, your children are in a good space. Any other thing, any other opinion is not needed, really. So that's all I have to say about that. Now, there's a lot of unlearning to do as a survivor, and understand that as a mother, perfection is not the goal, but doing your best every single day is enough. Perfection is not the goal, but doing your best every single day is enough. Your children will appreciate it, okay? Don't let anyone bully you to do something else and to think that, oh, you need to be perfect. All right? Also understand that learning to be a mother is a lifelong process, and thus one day at a time, you can and will change the life of your children brick by brick and day by day. Brick by brick and day by day. By making the decision to leave the abusive environment, a victim or a survivor has shown that they have the courage and the self-belief to take courageous decisions for the well-being of herself and her kids. So, dear survivor, don't stop and never ever give up. You have the courage. I say this all the time. The survivors or victims have the courage of a villain. You know, you watch a movie and everyone is chasing the villain because they are kind of causing mayhem or whatever, and they are set in their convictions. Survivors who live and are able to survive, I always say they have the courage of villains because they understand everything that is happening. And a lot of the times you will find that people who are uneducated about abuse, who are bought into the stereotypes, who are bought into the smear campaign, who are using spiritual abuse, every tool that they have will come at you and say things to make you feel like you're making the wrong choice. You know it, you've been through it, and you understand the effects and everything. So the more educated you get, they say knowledge is power, and this is one of the cases. The more educated you get about abuse, the more you're able to understand and make choices that are good for you and your children. And that's just what it is. Every single time, the more educated you get, the more powerful you get. The more educated you get, the more you understand and the nuances of everything that's going on. The more you don't give a damn about whatever anyone is saying, and even the forms of control that your abuser tries to use to get to you after. I have an episode on post-suppression abuse. You should listen to it and find out some of the things that abusers, some of the tools that they use to still control their victim even after they've left, right? So that's that. Now, you need to, as a survivor, you need to unlearn the self-doubt, unlearn the second guessing, unlearn the questioning of your parenting, unlearn all the things that were pushed on you through perspectives of the abuser, the gaslighting. Learn to shed off the weight of the smear campaign. I always say this: you will hear lies about you that you will have to question your own body, as in you will have like an out-of-body experience. You have to step out and ask yourself, like, me, is it me that? What? Did you by any chance leave and go and do this whilst I was sleeping, or I was like, what happened? Do I have another body? Is it me they're talking about? When you've never been in that space, when you've never done any of those things, you will hear things and you will go like, what? Is it me they are referring to? Because it will be strange to you. And sometimes, initially when it begins to happen, it gets heavy and you're wondering. You will tear up, you will cry, you will find even people manipulating things that you said to them in trying to explain your situation, and then they will use it as saying, oh, this then proves that it is so. Meanwhile, it's never the case. Now, that is a heavy load to carry. So at some point, you learn to unlearn and unhear all those things and shed off the old skin. Come out of the cocoon like a butterfly and just be beautiful and, smell the roses and the flowers and live, So it is also very important to have honest and very meaningful conversations with your children, conversations that are age appropriate. Also establish clear boundaries of behavior, and try as much as possible to speak to them about family values, share what has happened, create a structure, and all of those things, But one day at a time, listen to them as well, hear them talk, ask them how they feel. It's a difficult task, trust me, because sometimes they clam up, they don't want to say anything and all of that, So, relax, don't beat yourself up, take a rest and enjoy the moment instead of guilt tripping yourself if I should be doing this. If you can afford to get help, get the help. If you have look, I can't underestimate how much a support system is great for you. So if you have a support system, cherish them, get the help. If you're a support system for a victim of abuse, God bless you, because it is a heavy load to carry. And so every time that you do something to support, help them, take off their load, babysit for them, drop their kids, pick them up, whatever, send them a tray of food so they don't have to cook, whatever, anything, it takes a load of them. So for you, the survivor, don't do that. I should be doing this, I should be doing that. If it doesn't need to be done immediately, take a rest for a few minutes and relax. It's hard to do, but one day you do it day 1, you do it day 2, you do it day 3, and then you begin to find yourself and heal and thrive, and you begin to create a routine and get beautiful things to surround you, scented candles. I love soft toys. I love teddy bears. I've always loved teddy bears. Pillows, get them on your bed. If you can afford to buy a teddy bear for yourself, buy it and just go hug your teddy bear and have a squishy, whatever you love to do. That's me. I love teddy bears. I love my candles. I love my room deodorizers and all of those things. I would read my Bible. I will play music. I will listen to music. I will read anything that wants to make me relax, or I will just sleep, whichever way. I always say I'm the kind of person that if you give me a book, I have internet and there's food at home, trust me, you will not see me outside my gate. And that's me. And if I want to go out also, I make the time for it. And so relax and take a few minutes and don't stress yourself, okay? So you are let them know. It's important to let your children know that everything that has happened is not their fault. They are not to blame for it. And try as much as possible to nurture by providing physical and emotional security, giving them your time, showing them warmth and affection, trusting and respecting them, supporting and encouraging, and ultimately caring for yourself, because your best self is needed. Life can get hard. Resilience and a healthy manner of solving those bumps instead of striving for perfection will make it easier for you and the kids. When you notice a downtime, ask them if they want to talk or they just want you to listen. Be involved in their lives and involve them in yours. And with the right help, children can recover from effects of abuse. And so on that note, I'm going to just give, a few examples of, if you have a 0 to 3-year-old, so they like attention, affection, playing with others and showing interest in them. So use simple gestures. Don't do baby talk. Copy their facial expressions, smiles, frowns. To you they cry and all of that. So keep a simple routine as much as possible. Find trusted adults who can help you care for your child. Take some time, special time together, and interact with your child. Like play and interact with them. If you're having a bad day, take time to relax and be calm. And even if it's only for a few minutes, seek opportunities to meet other mothers for a chat over tea, lunch dates, just a walk, exercising around your community. It helps. Join a toddler group. There are many mom groups out there, and they will provide you support systems. So now, the effects of domestic abuse on these children is that they are startled in response to loud noises. They can be withdrawn, they can be irritable, and they can be awake when they ought to sleep, and they can pick up on your stress level. So if you are stressed, the baby is stressed. If you are not sleeping, the baby is not sleeping. So but you are stressed, you're trying to get the baby to sleep. The baby, your stress is your stress is affecting the baby, and both of you are intense stressing each other. So it's important that we try as much as possible. They will exhibit signs of if there's violence, physical violence, and they see it, they might even go and do it, And so, like I was saying, that children are little humans and they feel. So always try to put yourself in their shoes, and the problems that you consider little that occupy their minds, and learning to make sense of the world. Is it fair? Is not fair? What is right? What is wrong? If you explain or justify why something cannot happen or why you cannot buy something, do not, kind of just throw them off. Explain to them, let them understand. And I don't say this, I always say this: God gave me the wisdom, and my children growing up never threw a tantrum. I don't know what that is. That's not to say that the mothers whose children throw tantrums are doing a bad job. No, not at all. Because maybe they don't have the right tools, they don't have the right techniques. But if you see children as little humans and you begin to reason and rationalize with them, you are nurturing them. You are nurturing that ability to rationalize things, understand things, and to hold conversations even with themselves. I talk to myself all the time. Like, I have conversations with myself. I ask questions and I analyze situations, and I laugh. Sometimes will have a full-blown conversation with myself, and I'll have a laugh about it later. But they will understand it better and are less likely to keep asking you why, if you put yourself in their shoes and you try as much as possible to explain to them what is happening. So that was for 0 to 3 years old. So 3 to 5 years old, they are at this stage where they want to learn. They are developing, interesting, and processing their world. They are touching everything. They are feeling everything. They want and need to spend time with you, but they also want to socially interact with other children. They're exploring their environment. They are having new experiences and learning what is important to them. They like to play through their senses: touch, feel, sight, hear, smell, splashing, writing on walls, modeling clay, touching sand, running around, feeling things. They mimic cartoon characters that they watch. That's why it's important to regulate what they are watching. They climb, they jump, they roll over. They don't have a sense of fear because at this point they haven't experienced the dangers. So they do and act in any way or manner. Now for them, if there's abuse, they get nightmares, they have food issues, they are a lot more clingy and fearful or afraid of being left by their mother. They notice a change in behavior, and sometimes they mimic abusive behaviors. So a child may regress. They stop learning. They will, go back to peeing on themselves. They'll go back to baby talk, or they'll hold on to a particular toy because it kind of gives them comfort. And they always assume that violence is caused by something that they've done. And for boys, it becomes unhealthy because they are learning gender roles, and that they think that, a man has to be controlling and aggressive to get their point across. But that's not the case. And girls should be agreeable and submissive. So you see where the pattern begins to form. It's not every prayer is good, but sometimes abuse forms young and early in the mind, and the patterns persist and go on and on. So sometimes, as a cycle breaker, you've got to make the decision to break the cycle immediately, because if you look at both sides of your spouse and yours, you might even see underlying traits of why this is happening. So they need structure. Read to them, talk to them, spend time with them, try activities that will make them, understand that they are, develop things for them. So role playing, cooking, little tasks that they can do around the house, just engage them in such a way that they are like little humans, right? Don't treat them like they can't see what is happening. you know. So if you've moved out, do an activity with them in the house that will ensure that they have peace of mind and they are comfortable in that place. Now, for children who are 6 to 12 years old, they are at the stage where they can see how you interact with yourself. Do you love yourself enough? Your kids pick on it. They learn to love and show kindness to others, you know, because they see how you treat yourself and other people. So for them at their age, they are independent, they are physically active, they like to be outdoors, they are more involved with their friends and concerned with what their friends think and do. So they can also have more conflict with their peers and siblings. They may be more financially demanding. They may want certain brand names, certain things, expensive toys, and kids like to move, and they may become restless if they are kept indoors for a very long time. So when this happens for them, they need extra reassurance, they need emotional support, which can look like annoying. You know, they become clingy, they touch you, they want to be in your space. Every time they hear you on the phone, they want to come and see you or hear what's happening. Behavior in school can change. Children can become quiet, they can become withdrawn, or they can display difficult behavior, or they can even regress in their studying completely because of everything that's finding. So some children find it hard to regulate their feelings. They may become angry, sad, or to pretend to be really happy. Sometimes children can have an unusual relationship with food as a result of the issues. They may refuse to eat, they may become picky, and all kind of things. So to make this work, find a routine, be consistent. It is important. Children need and understand stability, predictability, and consistency. So routine, communication is very important to building a positive relationship with your child. Children need to know what is happening in their life. Use words that are age appropriate without burdening them with adult problems. Have very clear boundaries on what is acceptable and unacceptable behavior, and stick to your decisions. No means no. Let them also know the rules, so that when they are breaking it, they understand that there are consequences to their actions. And spend time with them individually. Try as much as possible to spend time with them individually or as a group also, and do activities that will make it fun. All right, so try as much as possible to do that. Now we come into the teen. So you find that you encourage your teen to keep a diary, set clear boundaries for them, and trust your teen to prove that they can be responsible. Take time to talk to them through their feelings, you know. So teens spend more time on social media, watching TV, reading, focus more on their phones and tablets, focus more on friendships, and want to spend time with them. Find an identify a particular interest: sports, fashion, drama, books, music, art, food. The list is endless. You know, they want to be spoken to like a young adult and less like a child. They want to spend time alone and may sleep a lot and may develop an appetite. So when abuse happens, it can let them suffer from low self-esteem, anxiety, and lack of confidence. So you need to build their confidence. Conflicted feelings about the abuse that happens can lead to increased aggression towards their peers, siblings, and even parents. They may have angry feelings about the abuse, which can manifest in challenging behaviors such as stealing, fighting, drinking, or even using substances. They may withdraw from school, friends, and family. So that is why it's important that immediately that this is happening, you are present. I think that a lot of the reasons why people say, oh, your kids won't turn out well, is that mothers don't know how to deal with any of these things because they don't take their children along through that process. And that's why I say knowledge is power. When you understand and know what you're doing, you're able to protect and shield your children from all of these things, right? So it's very, very, very important. So the keys are friend circles, developing identity, building their self-esteem, allowing them to think more critically, So a routine and consistency is vital for teens. They need clear boundaries as to what is acceptable and what is unacceptable. Screen time, phone time, money, friendship, behaviors, clothes, music, kind of music they listen to. There are some lyrics that are not wholesome. So you've got to be clear that, look, we don't listen to such music. If it involves XYZ, it's a no. And understand and set the boundaries. There are apps that allow you to have, as a parent, have the umbrella account, and then you put your kids' music on there, so you can see. I use a Deezer app, so I can see what kind of songs that they are listening to and all kinds of things. Try to have open and appropriate conversations, taking time to talk to them, keep them informed about their exchanges, listen to them, spend special time with them doing activities, and then give them space. They do not always want to talk to you. So if they don't want to talk, let them be. If they don't want to talk, let them be. Like I said, children are, little humans, and it's important that you also speak to them and have conversations. Now, another thing that a lot of people don't do is they don't talk to their kids' school to let them know that this is the situation. It's important to have a conversation with the school so that they know what is happening, so that just in case they overreact, you have a way. Now, for 18 years and above, they are almost adults. So when abuse happens, you try to become overprotective or almost being super protective. So you need to accept and allow your children to lead themselves. To lead themselves. So if they want to go somewhere, you have to trust them. You have to trust them. Sometimes we worry when they are going out into the world, but you have to trust them and guide them and know that every tool that you've given them is enough for them to make the right choices. So for older teens, they seek independence, have an increased focus on romantic relationships. 16, 18, 19, they continue to find their identity. They may spend a lot of time on social media. They feel like an adult and expect to be treated and spoken to like one. They want to socialize more. For them, they may spend a little time at home as to avoid any conversations about their behavior, access, or their feelings. Some older teens can take on to the role of the mind of the family, and they feel like they need to take care of the younger ones and support their mother. Older teens can blame the protective parents for the abuse and say that they were the one that caused the family to break up. This can be done by way of verbal abuse, physical violence towards the parent, and making the protective parents feel guilty for breaking up the family. Now, sometimes abusers will tell things to the kids like, "Oh, it's your mother who took you away. I said sorry. She doesn't want to listen." That kind of thing, forgetting that they are being manipulative, right? And so they try to create an identity and then kind of hits the survivor or victim. Now, older teens can focus on their own romantic relationships or friendships to distract themselves from abuse that's happening at home. They may spend all their time speaking to their friend, and then if you are not involved, it can lead to unhealthy relationships. So even though you are letting go, you should also be in their lives. Keep open communication with them. Consider them as adults and trust them with the responsibility that comes with clear boundaries so that they know what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. Ensure they are aware of what is right and what is wrong, and find and encourage ways for them to be helpful to manage stress and conflict. Right? So you realize that there's a tool, and as always, post-separation abuse is, no matter what you do, your ex-partner, they tell children things, they undermine your authority, they tell the children lies to increase their anxiety and fear, and they try to buy the children with expensive gifts or outings or dinner or fun things, seemingly because they know that you're tight on a budget. neglected all their responsibilities, not paying fees, not paying for the upkeep of the children, how they manage to go to school, how they eat, everything, because it's a form of control. They know that if they can't control anything, they can hurt you. They try not to communicate with you. They do things that undermine your authority all the time. And it can be difficult not to be bothered by the constant little battles because you're human. But it's it becomes much easier if you focus on the larger issues such as schools, medical bills, clothes, choices, confide the smaller frustrations to a friend or a diary, talk to someone who understands, but not to your kids or to your abuser, because they really don't care, and they would have proven by their actions that they don't care. They don't care. So set boundaries. There's physical boundary by removing yourself, and there's emotional boundary by letting people know how they should treat you. Should try to have as little contact with them as possible. Accept that he's not likely to change, and that the way you interact or respond to him does not mean that you accept abusive or bad behavior. What is happening is that you accept you are their ex-partner and they are not going to change. So just have no expectations, and leaves you with good, and then you understand where you are, and you can respond to them and treat them with a grace that as someone you've been in a relationship where you treat them, they are not your enemy, you don't despise them, you just have to hold the grace. So don't react. Don't react. Every time that something happens, relax. Don't react. Respond. So when you are responding, you are able to articulate clearly, and you become assertive, and you're able to say what you want calmly. If you know that they're going to sidetrack you, plan ahead. Don't allow them. You don't allow them send requests or whatever. And family and friends might try to persuade you to give them another chance. If you can avoid spending time with people who see his side of things, tell them clearly like you do not wish to discuss your personal issues, or avoid them. It's as simple as that. Like I said, the flying monkeys, they will come. They are, after separation, you will do birthdays, you will do milestones, your children will graduate together, they will do weddings, you will have things that you have to do together. Just be prepared for it. Keep it simple. Invite close friends and family. If you will have to say no to some people, and you do not have to take care of his guests too, it is no longer your duty. So focus on your own needs. Always reassure your children that there's a plan. Be there for them, and assure that they're good. Always make sure that you're showing up for your kids and planning them, because now you have two houses, different rules. Even though when they're with you, their bedtime is 8 or 9. When they go, they stretch, they stay out late, 10, 11, 12. They are not asleep. Try not to get worked up about it, because say that two houses, different rules. So children want things to be fair, not to be put in the middle, not to be asked of the abuse, to have lots of time with you, to have fun, to be loved, not to see you argue or fight. It is an adult problem, not to hear you criticize each other. And so tell the children the truth in an age-appropriate way. Never give out about your child's father. This may be difficult because kind of forcing them to take sides. Tell the children that abusive behavior is not acceptable, and you left the children so you could be safe enough to take care of them. Criticize the behavior, not the person, right? Criticize the behavior and not the person. If you are caught off guard by a question and you're not sure how to answer it, be honest and say, I need time to think about this, but I will answer when I'm ready, and make sure that you do. So share a meal together, have a drive together, read a book together, eliminate distractions during family time, and just start a conversation. Listen to them so you can hear them. So this is a lot. So have a meal together, watch a movie together, buy food that they like, surprise them sometimes with gifts that they want, listen to them when they are talking about things that they would like to get, and just be a good parent. Don't strive for perfection. So there are so many tools out there that can help you. So if you need any tool, please, you can contact me anytime. You can contact me anytime. Connect with people. Treat yourself with love and care. Relax. Laugh a lot. Enjoy your time with the kids. Be good to yourself, and know that one day at a time, everything will get better. And so, wow, that's almost 51 minutes of conversation. Until I come back next week, I want to say thank you for always sticking with me. I love you. Take care of yourself, and go listen to the I Proclaim. If you know someone who's going through abuse, show them some love. Be there for them and allow them, hold spaces for them. Stop questioning their choices, and don't be a judge when you don't have full recourse to everything that's happening. Learn, understand the situation before you jump to the defense of the abuser. Thank you as always for listening. It's been me, Ama Thinkable Doris, whatever name you know me by. Until next week, be safe out there. Love your neighbor as yourself. Smile more, laugh more, and show compassion. Have an amazing week.